Welcome to The Explainer. So if you live out in the Gateng area, you already know the drill. You get that sinking feeling right as a heavy high-veld summer storm rolls in. And then, the absolute dread of looking up at your ceiling, spotting a brand new spreading water stain, and literally scrambling to find every spare bucket in the house. Well, today, we are putting a hard stop to that frustration. We're digging into the actual data, the science, and the professional standards straight from Logiline Waterproofing's guide on affordable roof waterproofing for Sandton and the broader Gateng area. We're going to break down exactly why those cheap, quick-fix patch jobs keep failing you and really set the stage for a permanent, engineered solution that, actually protects your property. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. First, we'll redefine affordable waterproofing. Second, we'll look at the real causes of leaks. Third, choosing the right system. Fourth, the 5-step application sequence. And finally, ensuring long-term roof survival.
All right, starting with part 1, redefining affordable roof waterproofing.
I really want you to consider this core philosophy. Affordable actually means paying for the correct diagnosis and durable materials, rather than just slapping on a quick coat that fails within 2 seasons. True affordability? It doesn't mean finding the absolute cheapest guy with a ladder and a bucket of paint. It means scoping the job accurately right from the very first inspection. Why? Well, because a roof with a solid substrate needs a completely different approach than one with, say, crumbling or delaminating concrete. If you misdiagnose the problem on day 1, you're going to end up with repeat callouts. And trust me, those repeat visits cost you way more over the life of a roof than simply paying for the proper, scientifically specified system upfront.
Moving right into part 2, the real causes of leaks.
Let's talk about the villains here, starting with running water versus ponding water. You see, running water is actually pretty easily managed by most decent roofing setups. It hits the surface, it flows downward, and it exits. Easy. But ponding water? That is your roof's absolute worst enemy. After one of those intense summer storms, standing water will just sit there like a puddle, applying constant hydrostatic pressure. It aggressively seeks out and ultimately finds the absolute smallest pinhole in a weak membrane. And there is a brilliantly exact metric you need to defeat that standing water. 1 to 80. That's the magic ratio. It's the absolute minimum slope requirement, what the pros call the fall for flat concrete roofs. If your roof's slope is even slightly shallower than 1 to 80, the water literally cannot drain fully to the outlets. It just gets trapped. And when it sits there, it accelerates the wear and tear on your membrane and drastically increases the risk of those dreaded pinhole leaks at the low points.
But hey, water isn't the only villain we're dealing with. Let's look at the dynamic between thermal movement and a rigid coatings. According to the source, thermal movement is actually the single biggest driver of roof leaks in Gateng. Just think about our drastic high-veld temperature swings for a second. The concrete and screed heat up like an oven during the day and then cool down super rapidly at night. So they're expanding and contracting daily. If you apply a rigid, inflexible coating to a substrate that is constantly moving, what happens? It shatters. It just cracks at the joints, the parapet walls, the pipe penetrations. Your membrane absolutely must have the elasticity to flex right along with the building.
Which brings us perfectly to part 3, choosing the right system.
Now, what's really interesting is how clearly specific materials map to very specific structural needs. Take torch-on bitumen, for example. It is phenomenal for flat roofs that don't get foot traffic, giving you a thick 4mm dual-ply layer. But if you have maintenance teams walking up there constantly, you're going to need liquid polyurethane, which offers incredible durability under foot traffic. For general roof areas, an acrylic system with a bonded reinforcing polyester membrane might be the perfect fit. And for rigid substrates, cementitious waterproofing slurry. Honestly, misapplying a system suited for one type of roof onto another is the #1 cause of early failure. It's like wearing soccer cleats to run a marathon, just the wrong tool for the job. Let's zoom in on the exact science of these materials, using that torch-on bitumen system as our example. 100 millimeters. Now, this isn't just a suggestion, it's a structural demand. A torch-on system requires a precise 100 millimeter side lap and a 150 millimeter end lap. If an installer tries to save a few bucks on material by underlapping these joints, or if they just casually skip counterflashing at the parapet walls, that seam will fail every time. It's a precision game, plain and simple.
Now for part 4, the 5-step application sequence. Let's look behind the scenes.
Here is the rigorous 5-step sequence that should literally never be bypassed. Step 1, substrate preparation. That means grinding away old, failed coatings and doing proper moisture testing. Step 2, priming, to ensure the new coat actually sticks. Step 3, the actual membrane lin. Step 4 is absolutely crucial. Detailing and flashings around pipes and parapets, because honestly, these are the very first things to fail if they're rushed. And step 5, a mandatory 24-hour quality assurance flood test. Skipping these steps to cut corners, like rushing the prep work or totally ignoring that flood test, is exactly what causes early leaks. It's what makes those so-called affordable jobs incredibly expensive to fix later on.
Actually, let's look at a very specific symptom of what happens when you skip that prep work: membrane bubbling. If you've ever seen a torch on roof that looks like it has blisters all over it, well, this is why. It happens when moisture gets trapped beneath the membrane. As that blazing, high-veld sun heats up the roof during the day, the trapped moisture expands into vapor, literally pushing up and bubbling the membrane. It points directly to inadequate drying of the substrate or a completely missing vapor-permeable underlay. Like I said, preparation is literally everything.
And finally, part 5, ensuring long-term roof survival. So the crucial takeaway here is that a waterproofed roof is definitely not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of asset. Twice a year, usually right before the summer rains and right after the autumn leaf drop, you have got to clear those roof drains and outlets to prevent ponding. Then, annually, you need a solid inspection of the structural movement joints, since those are the spots most likely to crack open. And every 4 to 6 years, you must reapply the UV reflective top coats. If a torch-on membrane is left exposed without that UV reflection, it degrades, becomes super brittle, and just loses all its elasticity under the harsh sun. So we've looked at the environmental villains, the materials, the exact science of the overlaps, and the maintenance schedule. The real question you need to ask yourself right now is this: is your roof truly ready before the next storm season hits? Knowing what you know now about ponding water, thermal movement, and the sheer danger of skipped prep steps, how confident are you in your current roof? Look, don't wait until the water is literally dripping onto your living room floor. Get ahead of it. Logiline Waterproofing offers honest, straight-shooting scoping based on your actual roof conditions, serving Johannesburg, Sandton, and the wider Gauteng area. You can get a free on-site assessment just by calling or sending a quick WhatsApp to 081-016-3479. Do it once and do it right. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. The next high-vol downpour is inevitable. Will your ceiling survive it, or are you already out of time?